Aus dem Nichts ist vergangenen Dienstag doch noch die Konsolenversion von Die Siedler Neue Allianzen für Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch und Amazon Luna erschienen. Im nun anschließenden Dev-Stream erklärt uns Creative-Director Christian Hagedorn, wie man die Steuerung auf den Controllern umgesetzt hat. In den kommenden Die Siedler News werden wir dann im Detail die neuen Versionen beleuchten und uns auch die leider etwas unhübsche Nintendo Switch-Version genauer anschauen müssen.
But right before we go into the game, I would like to share with everyone some infographics that we have, some controller schematics. There we go.
So
that
can learn it right now.
Yes, you can take a photo of this and remember it for later. But of course, we'll go together through all the controls. I think we have 2 infographics. Yeah, there we go. With also the controls related to combat or unit control. Still, we'll go through all of them together. So let's get ready to go into the game.
And I can tell you, I've seen this man play with a controller. This can be very, very interesting, and I have a lot of respect how you can play with it.
Today we're gonna take it slow. We are gonna go through all the different steps. All right, so
yes, please.
We're choosing to show a little bit of the core. This is a map we haven't shown yet, even though players are PC players are already familiar with it. We're gonna be able to exemplify and show everything that is available to controls. And the first thing that we want to talk about, of course, are camera controls. One of the most important things. One of the main reasons why RTS or strategy games in general are sometimes hard on controls or even in consoles is being able to control the camera efficiently. And we start obviously by being able to pan the map itself with a controller, with the left analog stick in this case. Can even go fast or slow depending on how much pressure you're putting onto it. And of course, the right analog stick is capable of rotating the camera.
Beautiful cinematic movement.
Yes, exactly. So if you're very precise with your thumb pressures, you can even follow the terrain or shoot a video or share some clips and film as you can. Additionally, if you're actually more interested in the action, of course, you can move quickly around with the controller by pressing fully into it. You can also move the camera around if that's how you prefer to play, or you can press both analog sticks at the same time in order to reset the camera orientation. There we go. That always puts you back into north. North is usually the best reference point for players who keep learning the maps over and over. Now, this is a Settlers game. As always, building is the most important thing. So the controllers, of course, will adapt to which controller you're using or which console you're playing in. In our case, you will see the square is the button we have to press to open the building menu. And the building menu can be navigated with the D-pad in order to move between buildings and the shoulder buttons in order to move the categories. If you know exactly what type of building you're trying to build, this can be pulled up really, really fast by going exactly to through the combination of movements. Right. So in this case, I wanted a hunter's cabin. It's square, R1, left, and I got it. So if you eventually start to learn these things, you can find whatever building you're trying to build super fast.
Very fast,
and it's even like kind of a higher skill ceiling for players who can see these opportunities, because moving with the mouse still has a distance, right? It doesn't matter how fast or how good you are moving the mouse. It doesn't go as fast as remembering which key combination gets you there.
Yeah, in milliseconds.
Let's build some stuff in order to show that it works exactly like always. More things to add. With the building selected in hand, you're able to see what the footprint of the building will be, which places are disabled for as a location to construct, and what are the reasons why when you're trying to build it there. You can rotate the buildings with left shoulder and right shoulder, and then, as always, the X plants down the building. So let's drop down these 2. When you want to build roads, there are multiple options. The first one would be normally to open the construction menu and throw a road from one point to another. Additional options, especially if you have forgotten to close some entrance with roads, is to go to the shortcut place that was indicated here. I don't know if people got to see it, but there is a shining beacon indicating that there's no road there.
The flag icon.
And then you can order it. Right now we have all our engineers into auto-construct. That's why they're building everything so fast. But I'm going to show a few more tricks related to roads, because it's also kind of important to know that there are more and more options. If you hold L1 while building roads, you're able to create the waypoints between this. This normally, without the waypoints, the system would try to make the shortest road from your origin to your destination. But with waypoints, you can go absolutely insane. Have any shape that you want, create double lanes.
But you better know where to place the other buildings, right?
Yes, yes. Well, you can always replace roads for other buildings. But yeah, you can draw whatever you want. And of course, you can press circle to cancel and go back several waypoints, or just cancel it altogether.
Yeah.
Right. So these are the normal things you would expect out of Control. A giant shout out to our UI UX team, because they have made the Control as intuitive as possible and as accessible as possible. When the games are as complex as this, where there are options everywhere, menus everywhere, it's very hard sometimes to start unraveling the possibilities, the combinations of buttons you have to press. So we've tried to make it really easy for everyone to pick up, being able to say, okay, I can understand this opens the building menu, then I just select, and the cancel buttons and the OK buttons are always at the same place. Right? This consistency helps in situations like
also
this.
very clear, looking very good, and of course very clear with all the buttons being shown and everything.
That's correct.
Very
I think I think our camera may actually be covering or not. No, you know what? I think we're in the right position now. In the bottom right, you can always have a helper tooltip. So if you have something selected, or you have a unit selected, or you are building something, there will always be indicators of how can you modify your current input. For example, right now it says rotation left and right.
Which is context sensitive, right?
It is indeed context sensitive. Right? It knows what you're doing, and it's trying to give you help on what you would like to do.
Yeah.
So for now, I've built some basic buildings. Let me try to connect them with roads. I really hope, and this is the reason we went to casual, that we don't get attacked so early. And the core is a big map, so I don't think we should be afraid. But I'm not playing at an optimal speed right now. We're just going to make sure that we have the most basic materials going on. So let's actually build a quarry. And once we have the buildings, I didn't claim that ground. Give me a second. I missed. Still require practice. Okay, there we go. And now, perfectly going into this, I can show a little bit else of what you have to control. And that is, thank you very much, camera, for automatically doing it for me, unit control. Right. So a secondary part of the whole game is to being able to control your units correctly, to select them, to find them, and to give them the orders that you want at the moment. So we have a slew of opportunities on how to do this. I think there is 3 actually that I want to go through right now. The first one, and the most obvious one, is you put your cursor on top of the person and you select it with the X.
Yeah.
There's nothing scientific about this. You can do it, but aim and click. Always can get it. And once you have anything selected with the X or the bottom button, whatever it is displayed depending on your console or your controller, it's the option to just tell them, go here. Right? Like the most basic instruction, always available. Circle or the B button would cancel the selection out. You're free to then do something else.
Circle or B or A.
Yeah, depending on
it is confusing.
Yes, but not only is the tooltip on the bottom right contextual, it also depends on, of course, the console that you're playing. Or if you're on PC, any of the controllers will be read in real time, so you know which one you should be pressing.
Yeah.
All right. So that would be the first. If I actually wanted to select multiple people, there is the type selection.
I can tell you, this is the best part.
I
really like it.
This is a crazy solution. So if you hold down the selection button, a circle will grow. And the circle, you can still hold it and move it around a little bit with the camera movement. Yeah. And once you let go, everything within the circle will be selected. This also is time sensitive. So if you only want a few, you let the circle grow just a little bit. I hope everyone could see that. I'm gonna
do it again.
Try it again to see if it's not a fluke. And no, I selected way more. And that's
but this is absolutely awesome. I think it looks good. It's very cool to do.
Yeah.
And it gets you exactly what you want. You want to select a few.
Yeah, it also has a lot more implications than what the normal square selection that you would do with a mouse and keyboard, because that usually is tied to the screen that you're currently looking at. With the controller, you're able to start the selection somewhere else and personalize it or keep moving the camera until you find exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. So it doesn't need you to already be there to already start selecting. And what's obvious is the same controls apply once you have selected one person or multiple people. You just order them around. Okay, so the basics are behind. Everything already got built, but there's still more work to do.
Let's get to work.
Let me show you. There we go. Let me show you. I'm already giving spoilers. Let me show you a second way to select people. All right. So we have seen that there are some military units. I think they're around here. There we go. And sometimes in the game, you are having your military units and your engineers very close by. And the game obviously tries to help you select exactly what you're looking for. By default, if you have no other filter activated, you are always going to focus on military units. If you're trying to defend in a rush and there's both engineers and military units, it's usually the military units you're looking for. However, you can customize what type of selection you're getting by holding R1 or R2. In this case, R2 is the military selection and R1 is the engineer selection.
You can see it in bottom right.
Yes, that is correct.
Just for the people.
In real time, I'm holding this. I hope it's even showing up.
Next military or next idle engineer.
And even if you're not selecting, you can already press these buttons and it will give you the information of what everyone is doing of that type. So in this case, engineers, I get to see that there are 4 lazy people not doing anything because I haven't told them to do anything. And then there's a bunch of people claiming territory over here because I can see the flags even when they're not in the screen, right? What we see at the edge, the flags are being exemplified.
Yep.
While holding either R1 or R2, there is a button to go to the closest idle person of that selection type. So for example, select the next idle engineer, I hit the square, and I get someone over there, over there, over there, whatever I need. And I can even cycle through all of them if they're all idle. By just holding the button and pressing it once again. Additionally, that allows you to go quickly to your closest military group, right? So you find your units, even if we are far away with the camera, you can do this to jump immediately back into the action.
Very cool.
If we were, like right now we don't have any, but if we were to have a notification, you can also use, I think, D-pad down to jump to the notification directly. So if you're under attack, for example, perfect.
What is this? What a coincidence.
That was amazing. So not only do I jump directly into where the notification was being taken care of, the cursor is already kind of pointing me at the place, right? So I could have immediately held the button, grabbed the people who are now idle once again because the territory has been claimed, and give them new orders. And the new orders will be claim more territory.
Can I carry more?
All right. So this is option number 2. And it already sounds insane, but there's more. But wait, there is more. So option number 3, I want to show it because it opens up a lot more explanations too. But we have a radial menu in the game that is very, very encompassing. It has a lot of information in it, but also a lot of shortcuts within it. So learning and mastering the use of this radial menu will eventually lead to an even higher skill ceiling is what we like to say. It's someone with a practice experience on controllers will be able to perform everything that anyone on a mouse and keyboard is able to perform, and maybe even slightly faster, as we said, because there is no moving around the screen with the mouse, right? So holding L2, the shoulder, not the shoulder, the trigger, you open this contextual.
Shall I translate to other controllers too?
Depending on the controller that you're using.
Yeah.
You open this
disclaimer.
Very cool overview contextual menu. So this is divided into multiple spaces. There is the unit overview for civilian units, the military overview for military units, and the unit groups, which we haven't even touched yet, but I will talk about it in a bit, and the resources as well. If we go back to what we were talking about, the selection for engineers in particular, there is even already a shortcut to select all engineers. There are times where
triangle
in emergencies, you see some of your engineers are under attack. You can literally grab them all with one combination, which would be shoulder, up, and triangle. Perfect.
Sounds like a cheat input.
Yeah, exactly. It's a special move. Special move. Grab all the engineers. And you can order them then to run away immediately. And like after solving the emergency of telling them to run away, you can then go back into Chinese mode and say, okay, actually, no, you 3 can go back to what you were doing. But as soon as you wanted to get them all instantly, you can absolutely do that. The same applies to military units. Even those that you have just recruited and are back there in your base while you're attacking the enemy, you can just say select all military. I hope I didn't ruin the microphone. No, it's all good.
No.
You can say select all military and immediately they all jump into your hand.
Yeah.
And you can create a new group with it, for example, or you can order them to go back to the base, or you can recall them if I find the button. There we go. You can recall them and send them back. There we go.
Units recalled.
Right, so there are many ways to immediately go to whatever you think you need to solve as an emergency. All right.
Before
Yeah.
we head to the next topic, and you show incredible next things, we have some questions from the
there
chat.
something Cool.
Maybe it's a right time to do now. So we have a question: can you use the same controls also on PC, meaning controller support for PC?
That is correct. You can literally use any of the controllers that your PC will accept as the control scheme for your game. You're able to also jump between mouse and keyboard and controller as you want in the middle of the game if you're insane and you have somehow 3 hands.
If you're insane.
You can use anything you want, anything that makes you feel more comfortable, or if you want to practice one mode or other specifically, you're free to plug anything into your PC. It works. It has worked since the start and it works right now as well.
Just sliding into the next question, which is kind of, in there too. Is there cross-play in the game, is the question.
That is indeed correct. So not only can you play in, for example, PC and continue your game in consoles if you make a save, that's called cross-saving. Your cross-progression is also saved, so if you share the same account, connect to the same Ubisoft Connect, then you will be basically the same player. Therefore, all your accolades, your campaign progression, all will remain. And at any moment, you can play with anyone else in any other console. So if you're a PC player, right now you could be meeting console players. If you're a console player, right now you could be meeting other console players. But all of these are possible.
You can opt out.
That is indeed correct. Within the options, you can opt out of crossplay if you prefer to stay with players within your own
System.
console or platform. Yes, correct. And one more thing is if you're playing with friends, you can arrange any type of arrangement if you want. You can just invite a friend playing in PlayStation versus someone playing in Xbox with a friend playing in PC, right? So all of those combinations are possible.
Okay.
And your friend list should be shared because we are using Ubisoft Connect.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So
thank you for the questions. Okay, let's go back a little bit into the overview mode because as any good overview, you can go deeper. It's Inception levels. So we go into the engineering part of it, or the civilian part of it. As you saw, it was the top selection. Let me go back. And this one gives you even more information than the previous one we showed had. So in this particular case, it tells you not only how many engineers are idle, but also how many are constructing things, how many are claiming terrain, and if there is any group of these 5 that is not 0, basically if there's anyone doing a thing or not doing anything, you can select specifically that group. So in this case, I grabbed all the idle ones, or what I can do, let me cancel. I can select everyone who is claiming. It's like, you know what, you have claimed enough, cancel it.
Yep.
So now I should be able to see, there we go.
Yep.
Now everyone is no longer claiming. This can be useful if you want to have a specific amount of engineers doing a specific task, and if you've found too many, or if you want to cancel an entire thing that you're doing, or if you want to say, stop claiming because we're getting close to the enemy territory, any of these options are available to you. Not only that, without being able to select them, of course, because they're not controllable units, we can have immediate information about what carriers, cards, or workers are doing. So workers are normal carriers that have taken up a job within a building. That's the name of the type of unit. You can also see how many carriers are currently idle and how many are currently having a job to do. And the same for the donkey carts, which in this case, they're not doing.
4 donkeys sleeping.
Yeah, these donkeys.
Shame on you.
So the civilian overview has all of that information. In the case of a military overview, it's more divided per unit type. So you're able to say, okay, I want all my archers to do a specific thing. And that allows you to flank enemies or keep your frontline units separated. Or even if you want to, let's say, pull all your faction units because they're special to you. And you can say, okay, where is the faction unit? There we go. Make the berserkers stay back a little bit, right? So you have all of these options, assuming I had any, right? Right now we don't have any recruited. And this gives you a superior control also even during battle, right? Like you can very quickly access this. I think it will be L2, left, X, top right, X. And if you know these types of locations, you're very quickly able to say, okay, pull back the archers, make them shoot a little bit late.
There's one thing we saw a few times now, and you didn't explain yet. When you select military units, you have like those 3-button prompts.
Yes.
And what do they do?
All right, so that's perfect. I was just about to jump into this. So the combo, the synchronicity is right there.
Incredible.
Okay, so when we are controlling military units in particular, there's a lot of things that players can do with a mouse and keyboard. So we have to try to go through all of these being available at the fingertip through the controller.
Sure. Yeah.
The first one and the most important actually for the difference usually between keyboard and mouse and controller would be the ability to select, save, and recall selections, right? So we have these 3 units currently marked. In keyboard, normally you would hit like Control-1 or right-click on the top left menu item, and you'll be able to save the selection. In the case of controller, it's done with the R3 button, the right analog stick pressed, and it immediately saves whatever selection you have. And at any other point, you could be anywhere else. And with the D-pad left and right, you can quickly jump into it. Right? So you can also, wait, let me show with more. You can also have buildings in your selection groups, just like in the mouse and keyboard version. You can quickly jump also with a camera between them, for example, like this, where you want to order your units around, and then you go back to the warehouse and you continue building whatever you were trying to build within your base. Then you jump back into your scouts. If they were on the other side of the map, this would be more impactful. The camera immediately jumps into it and you're able to continue controlling. So the selection controls remain possible for all console players and, of course, anyone in PC using controller. This is usually one of the biggest points in strategy games and one of the biggest weaknesses, maybe that some other games cannot cover. In our game, it is possible to use all the shortcuts that we are providing to stay equally competitive to anyone using mouse and keyboard. So there's no fear for any player thinking, I don't want to face PC players because they have more controls than me. Everything that mouse and keyboard can do is available within controls, and usually even kind of shorter.
And again, now we're showing it in a slow manner, but I saw you play with the controller in a very fast way.
Well,
this was very interesting, and I can say this is exactly what you're now talking about.
Thank you. It's obviously going to make a lot of difference with people who have a lot of usage of controllers that are getting accustomed to controlling different types of games, controlling the camera very precisely.
Knowing which button is which button.
Knowing which button is quite important for controllers, yes, that's correct. So through the use of the overview and through the use of the groups, you can go into any of those situations. But you had a question for me, and I talked about everything else instead
I just wanted to
answering it. See? Now we're back here.
I didn't want to pressure you, but...
when you have the units selected,
yes,
you're able to give the most basic command, the movement one. And with the other 2 buttons that are shown here, you're able to give the move and attack command, which is the one where please kill everything that is on the way to this destination. And with the triangle in this case, you're able to give the hold position command, which is go here, do not move, but you can shoot at anything you see. So in this manner, you're able to access all of the normal inputs that would be different abilities or key inputs through mouse and keyboard, but in the controller, they're all within those 3 basic buttons. All right. Additionally, there are also waypoints for military units. So you're able to hold L1 and give military waypoints to move around, or let me cancel this. Let me move them here.
Any orders?
Move them here, there we go. Or you're able to do the same with triangle in order to give attack commands. So it's kill everything in that direction. Wait, no, that's patrol.
Of course.
With a square, square is correct. There we go. With the square command, which is kill everything in that direction, then over here, then over here, then over here, then over here, then over here. Right? So sometimes you don't want to give every command in real time. You want to queue them up, and L1 allows you to compound these ones. And in the case of holding L1 and then using the triangle, you're able to do the patrolling command. So let me select units again. And as you can see, let me actually give them a new patrol so that it looks like I did this right now. You can tell them 3 different points, and they will be able to patrol between them until you give them a new order. So in this particular case, if they were to meet any enemy, they would interrupt their patrol, shoot at the enemy, and if the enemy dies or it runs away, they return to the patrol and continue walking around these points.
Many inputs opportunities in very few buttons. I think it's great.
That is correct. And because it's a combination of buttons usually, it's a lot faster to access than by finding the right hotkey or by moving the mouse far away and then moving the mouse to the position. So once again, the skill ceiling is a little bit higher. It also may take a little bit longer to get used to it if you are particularly a keyboard and mouse user all the time, right? So, but for players who are avid console players, this should become second nature quite right away.
Sure.
Then there is more. Whenever there are complex commands involved, so in particular we saw it with the engineers, but I can show with the military units as well, they would be accumulated in this radial menu that is once again with the L2 button, correct. And right now we don't have any ability, our recall is on cooldown, but if we were to have a ritualist within our selection, we would see the 3 ritualist abilities, or if we had a faction unit, it would show us the first one, its ability, or if we had a scout or a ranger, it would show also here. If we have multiple of those units, they would all accumulate into radial positions so that you're able to cast whatever you're looking for. You don't need to specifically select the rangers in order to cast their ability. If you have everyone in hand because you selected all your army, you have all of the abilities ready to cast at any moment. So the same would apply to engineers. Let me go to the next engineer. There we go. You hold the button and you have all of their abilities once again. It's building, it's claiming, it's surveying, and it's delivering. And even as available in mouse and keyboard, it is possible to enable or disable auto-construct in the case of engineers. So you have even access to those kind of sometimes very pro or advanced movesets that would be complex usually, but we have put them all here because we want all players to have all the control that they want. In the case of engineers, also in particular, there is more than just the super complex menu where sometimes you can get lost if it's too much, and you specifically want to do a thing that is quite obvious, like for example in this patch of mining area, surveying it. The game is context sensitive. If you're trying to do something that has an obvious performance, then just clicking on it will be enough, right? So I don't have anything selected. Here is movement, here is survey the area, and if I point at a landmark, it is deliver to the area, right? So context sensitive means you're able to just perform the action that you want without any further input.
And it's and it's the fitting icon then, and very easy to see.
You're able indeed to check out exactly what's going to happen. There's even a helper at the bottom right that says survey and changes. It will be moved.
Yeah, it's the bottom right. It's very important.
Always the bottom right. It's always there. Always there to help.
Very good.
Okay, very good. So we have gone through this top menu. In the case of unit groups, you're able to control or delete the groups depending on what you want to do with them. Or if you just want to select them, you can directly go to it by using the radial menu without, let's say, if I had 6 control groups, which would be maybe a little bit too much for me to scroll left and right until I get the right one, you can use the radial menu to directly jump to it. Let's say it's group 4, I just do down click and that's it. Okay. Within the radial menu, there was also one last option. I think we missed the EP. Doesn't matter. Maybe there's one more. Within the radial menu, there is also the option to look at your goods. And the goods overview, which is usually in the top right, is currently showing 6 different types of goods, but they may not be the ones that I want to show, right? So I want to particularly don't see the axes, but see the donkeys. You can absolutely do this by selecting and then choosing the new one. But alternatively, this very menu, which would allow you to show something different, is also the same menu that shows you everything that you currently own. So right now you could see not only what is available to you to use, but also the accumulated things within all warehouses. So with just the press of the radial menu into goods, into anything, which is L2, right, click, click, yay! So learning all the super combos. It would take you directly into seeing how many goods you have of everything everywhere, right? So, and then you just circle out of it and you are ready to continue. So then you don't need to like individually configure for each of the single things that you want to see. It's all available over there.
Come on.
Okay.
And if I like want to see a certain control scheme or what does this button again, is there a way to find out?
Absolutely. So not just as a refresher, within the menu button, you have obviously the options. However, if you hold the button, you have a shortcut to the journal, and the journal itself contains the controller reminder.
Yeah.
So not only that, I think you can see all the way down, it contains all of the possible selection types or shortcut types or indications. So there will be a refresher, a reminder to anyone that's looking for it. And of course, in playing casual mode, you have all the time to check it yourself, or as a reminder while playing through the campaign.
Yeah.
So there's one more type of selection that we want to highlight, and that is when you are looking at buildings, right? So usually with mouse, players will be able to look into the icon that they are particularly looking for. With a controller, there are shortcuts to everything that players may want to use. For example, as it stays at the top, to pause the building, I just need to press triangle. Immediately gets paused. I don't need to, move the mouse over there and hit the right button. And in the case of the food boosting, you're also able to just press the button and immediately activate. And what's even better, and even as it says down there in the bottom right, you can swap to the next building of the same type by hitting R2 and immediately give the next order. And if you have 20 of those, you're able to swap between all of them. And in this case, I only have 2, so it becomes quite a short trip. If it were to be somewhere else completely, the camera would instantly jump to wherever the other location is. So you're able to also navigate through your own settlement in a speedy way if you're looking for something specific. Could maybe be your different warehouses if you want to check where is your iron, where did it go? So you're able to do that no problem altogether. All right. So I think we have gone through the majority of the controls. There are rounding elements for everything that is normally accessible. In any case, for example, if you want to see the score of what you're currently doing and what your opponent is currently doing, you can go L1, R1, as it's stated right up there. And you're able to see this. And here you also have access to, if I was playing a multiplayer game, the interaction with other players, endorsing the players if they're cool or good, or mentors, or adding them to friends if you want to challenge them later or play with them together later, or reporting if there is some bad behavior that we don't condone or we don't approve of. So those are all accessible to you. There's one last reminder there, and it just saved automatically. Whenever you open the pause menu, you instantly create an autosave. So this is the slot that will always be refreshed every, I think, 15 minutes if you're normally playing, or if you open the pause menu. Or alternatively, of course, you can go into your save games and immediately save or load if you want to get out of it. As you can see, this is the most recent autosave, literally me opening the menu. So you're able to access everything as everyone else is able to. And the settings as well are available in here, even though there are different controls than what you would expect in PC. They still have everything that you would want to modify during gameplay, right? So dialogues, gameplay situations, and audio, and even controls. So in this case, I turn controller vibration off. Some people like it on. It is completely up to them.
Very cool.
Whew, I think we've done it.
Yes.
I think we've gone through everything. It only took us to so far. And did I even get to build? Okay. I didn't even get to make my own mines. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think we've managed to show that once the initial hurdle of learning that there's a lot of shortcuts that are available is passed, using controller to control the game is actually great. And not just that, it's something that you can learn to be really good at. And there are some interactions that are so much faster than when controlling them with mouse and keyboard that we believe it is very possible for console players to stay absolutely competitive in our game. Our game in particular is very relaxed in comparison to other super fast-paced strategy games. So having a very good and precision control scheme allows console players to stay equally competitive to PC players, so there's no disconnection between two or different rankings or anything. Everyone can participate in this fully.
And this is very important for a lot of players, I think.
That is indeed correct.
Yeah, very cool.
I think we can leave with one of the coolest features that is quite unique to controllers. When you're having a unit that is moving from one side to another, just leaving the cursor on them will bring you into this beautiful follow mode.
This is your favorite feature, right?
This just makes me so happy to be able to follow people like this. So anyway, if you leave your selection on someone without having them selected, the camera will follow to allow you to not have to be extremely precise with your selection. We bring you with it so that you're able to, for example, give one movement order and then follow your army moving through the field all the time together. And you don't need to, chase with a super precise control that's like, oh, it's not at the same speed of the enemy moving or whatever. You just leave the control on it and then the camera will be bringing you to it. There we go.
Very cool. Very cool, Chris. Thank you very much for showing
very gladly
all those shortcuts and controls.
This is really a lot. Like the team has put so much effort into making sure that everything is available at the fingertips of players that we really had to dedicate an entire stream to it.
Yes, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for tuning in and for spending time with us and seeing how the game is being controlled using a controller. Again, the Settlers New Allies now available on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and Amazon Luna, and of course PC. Of course, we know that
it's still available.
We know that. I have a little note there. It says if you buy the game in the first 60 days, you'll also get the Founders Pack.
That is indeed correct.
Free.
Yes, anyone who is currently buying the game until September 4th, that is correct, will receive the Founders Pack on consoles.
Awesome. Yes, so that leaves me with one last information. You don't have to wait that long for the next stream. I won't announce a date right now, but there will be something coming up, right?
There will be news coming very soon,
Yes. And then we will have something New Settlers related for you. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you all. Yes. Also, a big thanks to the community. We're finally all able to play together, so let's have some good fun.
Yes. That's a very good sentence for closing it.
I practice it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.